96.9 Cool FM. Yes, this is what we've been expecting. This is, we've spoken about it, you asked for it, and in the studio with me today is one of the people every young Nigerian is talking about with regards to the 2019 elections. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only omoyele Sowore. Also in the building with us, I've got N6. I don't know if he's here to calm me down or here to fire me up.
Let's see how it goes. Let's see how the interview goes.
All right. So, Princess is going to be helping us. We're live on Instagram. We're live on facebook.com/CoolFM Nigeria. We're also live on Sowore's Facebook page.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and we're live. We're not live, but it's going to be posted on my YouTube page too, youtube.com/DaddyFreezeTeaches. So everybody has the opportunity to be a part of this Nigeria shaking interview. So welcome to the Cool Station. Is this your first time on Cool FM?
No, actually, this is probably my fourth time.
On Cool FM or on Wazobia FM?
I don't know which is which. I only know that this is a building I've been to four different times.
Four different times.
Four different interviews, you know.
This
One of them pretty explosive.
Pretty explosive.
Yes.
We're hoping to keep the fire in this without it exploding. you see, we want to have a working engine, internal combustion engine. The cylinders are exploding, but it's contained,
So
that there will be a
speed.
bit of
Yes.
sanity. When I heard that you were running for president, I was happy and unhappy. Happy because, oh my goodness, all of a sudden we now have someone who stands for what he believes in. But I was unhappy because how easy is it for someone who stands for what he believes in? How easy is it for that person to have an opportunity to get somewhere in today's Nigeria? So before I throw you out to the world, I want to pick it up gradually. Tell us a bit about yourself. I know you went to the University of Lagos and you were a student. You were the student union president. Did your unionism start, your activism, did it start from Unilag or did it start before Unilag?
It started before Unilag. I think my activism started like pregnancy. Yes, I was 10 years old in a small village in Ondo State in 1980 on my way going to high school when the police came and invaded our village, and they carted everything they could, destroyed the village, molested, raped, and I was just there like helpless. I had my siblings crying, my stepmother crying, my father in the ceiling hiding and sweating, you know how those houses are in a village, and I had to eventually run away from the family. And I said to myself, why would the states of Nigeria do this to us? We don't have electricity, no post office, nothing, but suddenly the police could find their way to us and visit untold brutality on an innocent village of about 3,000 people. And that was where I said to myself that if I ever have a chance
To make things right.
I will fight this Federal Republic of Injustice. And the University of Lagos presented me with that opportunity almost as soon as I arrived campus, because it was military rule, there was agitation against World Bank loans and the structural adjustment program. It was the right place to be at the right time in history. And here comes, Femi Falana one day, who came to speak to us, and he just fired me up. So I had to choose between being a student of the University of Lagos, where people refer to the University of Lagos as a co for show, where students are all about wearing nice clothes and showing off, to becoming someone who became a fired up young person who is desirous to change society. So that was how it started, and I cannot stop by talking about Femi Falana. He was the person who started me out. And till today, he remains my lawyer. helping me to fight off because the attacks never stop from the university.
Talking about Femi Falana, he has reproduced himself in his son.
Yes. I was on his couch the other day.
N6. I know you would love to say something there. I saw that grin.
Big shout outs to Fowles. Obviously, he's also joining to spark off this social revolution thing.
Yes.
So, in his own way and his way to get the young youths to listen. I like his Sweet Boy Association thing, trying to get Nigerian men to take ourselves serious and also to reduce the illegality. So shout out to Fowles. Maybe not as activist as his dad, but and it to be good. I don't know where the Fawemi kids are. Gani Fawemi was also very big like this. I don't know if he has
Gani was also a big influence on me. Black Horror and some Kuti.
Yes, the Kutis. The Kutis still on it.
Fela was so strong on me that I auditioned for Fela on Broadway in New York.
Nice.
Wow.
I wanted to do the show. Yes.
Do you dance?
I had to.
You had to do a bit of learning and singing.
And all that. I didn't have enough voice, but I had the mannerism. They said.
I get it.
And the guy who was auditioning me said the shape of my head looked a little bit like his.
Fela is someone I never saw one-on-one.
I met him.
You met him?
Yeah, I met him in 1992. He was supposed to perform on our campus. It's impossible, and he asked us to allow him to sound check. By the time he arrived at university, the stage wasn't ready. He walked around and said, I'm not going to perform.
Oh.
And we had paid him, but he had a clause in his contract that even if Fela decides not to play, it says Fela owes you no obligation to play, even after you have met all the conditions.
Wow. I met him once. My uncle took me, I think I was like 6 or 7 years old. He came back excited. I told my mom where my uncle had taken me, and he was never welcome in the house again. So
of course he shouldn't be, because he sparked something up in you. And you are now the way you are now because of that uncle. Anyway, how did I get to find out who Omoyele Sowore was? Of course, with Sahara TV. Sahara TV was that fearless. When I watch Sahara TV, if I watch Sahara TV for 1 minute, I'm hey. Why? Because I'm a trained journalist, and one of the things I believe I'm fighting against is the seizing of our voice.
Censorship.
We are paid to talk, but not allowed to say what we want to say.
Right.
So we just look like we're talking, but we're puppets. When I now saw a journalist who was talking, and I remember what happened. I remember in BCOS, I worked in BCOS Ibadan for 5 years, and I have a colleague who's now my Oga, who brought some student union people to the office. I think he was almost sacked because the VC was brought in the morning. The VC came, of course, to do his political sound check, and the student union came in the afternoon and said the VC was lying. So you can imagine, and I was like, but is that not what journalism is supposed to be?
That's right.
The VC is supposed to talk, and the other party too are supposed to tell us what's happening. Let's have a well-rounded conversation, not just a one-sided conversation. And growing up, watching the news, I don't want to mention the TV station we all watched when we're growing up, but it looked like it was what they were saying, what the government said they should tell us.
That's right. That's right. And this is why I've always said that, the TV station you don't want to mention, when they say, people are telling lies, and what does our TV, what has our TV station been doing since it was created? Is to lie to the public that things are okay when things are not okay, saying that the country is united when it's falling apart, telling us stories, that are not related to things that are happening at the same time. They will be giving you cartoon when the country is on fire. And that was what fired me what pushed me to start my own journalism platform.
I love exactly what you're talking about now, playing cartoons when the country was on fire, because whatever we're suffering from now did not start yesterday, did not start last year, did not even start 10 years ago. It started almost at the beginning of from when we got our independence. Because if you look at a country like Singapore that got their independence in 1965, today the Singaporean passport is the strongest passport in the world, and we're 5 years older than them. What happened with them was they got it right from the get-go.
Yeah.
And we got it wrong. And instead of us at any point trying to redirect ourselves onto the right path, we kept missing it. And
Sad.
in the building with me today is Omoyele Sowore. At what stage did it come upon you that you must take up the mantle of leadership of this country?
Well, it has always been there, but I've suppressed it. But when I got to the university and tried my hands on the leadership of the student union at that time and became part of the national student movement in Nigeria, I knew we were ready. Because when we look at our intellect, our production in the system, our productivity, and you compare that with the leaders at that time, the military, you knew that we were way above them in terms of our thought processes, our administrative skills, our ability to communicate and govern students. And in that our local community, we were doing way better than they were doing on the outside. Because we had transportation systems that were ingenious. We started the campus shuttle system on campus when the university system of transportation fell apart. We had sick bays, we were visiting students, we were, helping to organize even exams when the university didn't understand when students should have exams because they hadn't had enough lectures. We would intervene and we engage in dialogue on campus. And most importantly, when the country needed us to bring about democracy, we stepped out there and we risked everything we had. I was expelled twice. I was shot at. People got killed beside me. And I was, attacked physically, injected.
You said you were injected with an unknown chemical substance.
Yes, at the University of Lagos in 1994. March 1994 in particular. I was student union.
Have you ever been arrested?
Oh, I was arrested 8 different times and detained in different parts of police units, DSS.
Were you ever beaten?
Oh, yes. I was not only beaten, I was tortured.
Arresting and beating in
Nigeria goes hand in hand.
They don't arrest you.
There's no way police is arresting you.
Can you tell us? I'm sorry, I want to be a bit fiery now. Can you tell us the worst form of torture you met in the hands of the supposed law enforcement at that time?
I would think that it was when I was detained at the Air Force Detention Center in Yola, Adamawa State, where I was detained in the guard room, and they put shackles on my hands and my legs, and would throw food through a small hole to me for a week. I had no access to sunshine, except one time that it's suspected that I might die, and they took me to see a doctor and quickly brought me back in there. And the Yola heat on its by itself is bad enough. I won't say that the way it is torture for me is physical and emotional. That I felt it was one of the times that I felt that I would die in a cage. I felt like somebody threw me in a cage. The other ones have been like being in a police station, or DSS. There was a time I was.
Was it not SSS back then?
Well, it's SSS then. They took me to Awolowo Road. They make me write statements for 8 hours, and I fell asleep. And they woke me up with a forced gunshot, and I was like disoriented. With police stations at Panti, they will beat us up to extract confession, or they put us in a small cell and tear gas the cell, or I was also detained at SARS in Ikeja before, where everybody in the room were all injured, or they had been shot in the leg, in an attempt to extract confession. So we went into the room with people with different levels of decay, their injuries, and then at night they will come pick up people and go shoot them. So I've seen a lot of these things happen. And there's Area F in those days in Ikeja, which is very close to SARS, where they used to call it Area Finish, because they had a detention cell, they call German cell, where you cannot stand up or sit. It's terrible. I've been through it all, but I can guarantee that so many people went through worse experiences than I did. But I went through mine 80 different times.
Wow, fantastic. And you came back and started your own very successful online multimedia. Can I use the word newspaper or can I use the word?
Well, I call it multimedia platform.
Multimedia platform.
Yes, digital platform.
And the lawsuits came firing.
Oh, of course, yes.
There was a time you sent some people to interview me, and they came without some equipment, and they said they went to court and had their equipment seized.
Yes, they were. The equipment was seized and broken in Ilorin while we went to cover one of the lawsuits.
Wow.
That the Senate President, one of our guys, many of our guys were arrested. One of the guys who came to sympathize with us, Crown Olariwaju Buhari is in there. He was abducted and tortured. And the Senate President press put it on Twitter how they were trying to force him to confess that I sent him to go and disrupt the court proceeding. Yes. It was crazy, but this is, I've been through a lot, and this is the reason why. You see, you mentioned Singapore. It's not that Singapore got it right the first time, but it was, I think it's a professor who spoke recently, Lucy, who said that every country that has made the change got to a point where they said enough is enough, and they will not accept humiliation anymore. It happened in America. It happened when the British was in charge. It happened in Cuba with Batistuta. It happened in France. You have to get to a point.
N6, that's genius, happened in Ghana.
Yes, it happened in Gambia.
I think it happened twice in Ghana. Kwame Nkrumah and Rawlings.
Yes. Rawlings twice.
Yes, it happened in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
It happened in South Africa. It happened actually twice in Zimbabwe. It happened when Zimbabwe was Rhodesia, and then also,
South
Zimbabwe
Africa just kicked Zuma out as well. Yeah.
So it's happening all over. Citizens have to get to a point where they said, look, we have to either they better let us be free, or we stop, we'll die, we can't continue like it's just like people who were taken as slaves, who refused to make it to the final destination. They jump into the sea. They would rather die than be slaves in other people's lands. It's the point that Nigeria is meant to get to, and you will see a difference. You will see a country that is even better than Singapore because there are more brilliant people, harder working people in this climb. There are people who are more ambitious, people who are innovative in this space.
But are we truly?
This is a dream killer of a space.
Are we truly, sir? Let me just throw this in, Daddy Freeze, please pardon me.
Go ahead.
Every time we talk about Nigeria, we talk about Nigerians within Nigeria.
Yes.
Nigerians always excel outside Nigeria because there's discipline and the rule of law holds them accountable for their actions. But I worry about Nigerians within Nigeria. It seems like we'll need to do more sensitizing within Nigeria for these Nigerians than anything else. Because when you say Nigerians are this, we're great, we're this, we're that, where is it? Where is it? If we even had 1% of this greatness, we wouldn't be here.
But you just said it, that Nigerians flourish elsewhere.
Yeah.
The objective conditions that make people fail here is institutionalized. And there's nothing you can do about it. You're talking about Sahara reporters. I was doing Sahara reporters in the U.S., where I was an immigrant. I don't even have a U.S. citizenship. I had a green card for 12 years. It flourished. The year I came to Nigeria and tried to establish just a small part of Sahara reporters in Ikeja, there were lawsuits flying. I was physically attacked. The police commissioner of Lagos was waiting for me, saying that a petition had been written against me and he must jail me. Just within a week, they had destroyed whatever idea I brought to Ikeja. And this was an idea that was supposed to hire at least 30 people, and we had proposal and had gotten grants that would pay them nothing less than 100,000 naira minimum wage. That money was seized by the Senate President of Nigeria. Still with them as we speak, $200 and something thousand, including $6,000 of my own money. Wow. With the court order that they obtained without my knowledge.
That's what I worry about.
From a court in Ilorin, that I refer to as, and I had to tell them that this is Jankara judgment.
Of course, the Senate President is welcome here to also come and give his side
this is public information
of the story. We want to encourage anyone who has anything to say against what Mr. Sowore is saying. Feel free from the police. We want to hear your side.
Look, so I have a list of people who have made my life what it is, either hell or heaven. in this country, most of the people that made it here are based here. Or some, when they started from the Vice Chancellor at the University of Lagos, the Commissioner of Police. Then,
You know what? We need to go on a news break. We'll be back by 5. Hold it, guys. We're back by 5. This explosion continues. And we haven't even gotten to what we prepared. We are just gisting.
We've not even opened the lines.
We've not opened the lines. All right, 96.9 Cool FM, a quick break, and we'll be back with the news in a moment. Don't you dare touch it. Technology.
Yes.
So, we're back live. We're taking a quick break on the radio. So, this is the beauty of the online world. The online people get to see what the radio station doesn't see because of, how radio programming works. But we're going to be back on the radio in 15 minutes. We're just having a quick chill session, and we're going to use this opportunity to kill a few stones. Earlier on, Mr. Sowore was talking to us about how his activism started. He was talking to us about his influences. These are very, very important things for us to establish when we are building the portfolio in our minds of a future presidential candidate. When your people contacted me and said they wanted to bring you on, I was like, wow, it's overdue. Everybody, there are some people who come and, Daddy Freeze, you're not supporting Sowore enough. Daddy Freeze, you're not promoting Sowore. I'm like, look, me, I'm a teacher of the Bible. I have to be very careful. They are, no. We want the youth. We want Sowore. My fear is, you are speaking of the revolution in Zimbabwe. We all know that Robert Mugabe was not always, should I say, kosher. There is a transition period between being a liberator of the people and a dictator upon the people or against the people. What do you have in store to prevent that from occurring should you become Nigeria's president?
Over these years, I have built myself and my arsenal to liberate people. I have used all kinds of tools when I was in the university. That was where we started. That when we were called upon to come fight for democracy, we came out and did it and done all the consequences. We went to jail, we were expelled, we were maltreated, tortured, and at the point so many people went on exile. I did not go anywhere. I stood around here. And the next phase for me was recalibrating myself. I traveled to the US, I went and obtained a master's degree. Even in public administration. When I become the president of Nigeria, I will be the first person who has ever gone to school to learn how to administer the public.
What school did you get your master's?
Columbia University in New York. It's an Ivy League school, one of the 10 best universities in the US. That's where I did my master's. And the reason I went there was to disprove the notion at the University of Lagos that I was a layabout. And that was the reason I was an activist. And I didn't want to go to class. But at Columbia University is a competitive university. To even get admission into that university for any program at all, you can check it everywhere. It's tough. And I got in there, finished my master's degree, and then when I set up my own business. So I transitioned from being an activist to being a student again, and became an entrepreneur. And then went back to class. For the last 8 years, I was a professor at 2 universities. I did for a year at the City University of New York, and also used to be Brooklyn Polytechnic. It's now City University of New York. It was upgraded. And also at the School of Visual Arts in here, where I taught for 8 years or more a class in post-colonial Africa history. And what did it teach me? It taught me what happened when Africa was going well and what went wrong with African leadership, and how they transitioned from exactly what you're talking about now to become who they became a nuisance. In many cases, became more corrupt, because what they did was that when they were angling to take over power, they were envious of the life the colonialists were living. So the moment they got into power, They even did more than the colonialists. They oppressed their people. They didn't allow for free speech. Most of them maintained one radio station and one TV station only. They didn't allow multi-party democracy. This happened in Ghana. They had crisis in Nigeria. They had crisis, and into that came the Cold War between the East Bloc and the West Bloc. And they were pumping money to look for loyalty. And the Congo became the melting point. They killed the most progressive leaders on the continent of Africa, people like Patrice Lumumba. They went after Nkrumah. And all those guys, most of those guys actually trained in Ghana. So when we recover Nigeria from the shenanigans now, Nigeria will become the melting point for others who want to liberate their countries. And we cannot become dictators because we have already started a movement that is democratic in nature, right? This country, we came from the angle of not ensuring that nobody had the opportunity to be a Mugabe in Nigeria. First battle in consolidating democracy, and I actually have a theory about it, consolidation of democracy. That democracy must start, then to stabilize it, you must prevent strong men from exceeding their term limits. That's what we did to Obasanjo in 2003. And after that, you must allow for transition of democracy from minorities. They say democracy, majority must have their say, and majority must have their way, minority must have their say. But in consolidating real democracy, minority must have their way. So, and that happened with Goodluck Jonathan. The minority tribe person in Nigeria had his way into power. How did we make that happen? We fought a cabal led by Yar'Adua's wife that had prevented us from even knowing the condition of his health. It was Sahara reporters in those days I was giving updates on the regular basis, sometimes on an hourly basis.
We heard about that. Sorry to cut you. And we heard there was one of the GOs, I wouldn't mention his name, was actually sent in a delegation to go to see him and came back and told the people that he owed them nothing.
No, not only that. It wasn't only a GO. There was also it was a delegation of both Muslim and Christian leaders. Or there were two GOs. And the GOs saw, they didn't see Yar'Adua, they saw an apparition of a human being somewhere. Maybe it was a dummy placed on a seat. And they came out and said they have seen the president is recovering. Yar'Adua died a few days later. Because the GOs or the leaders who went, the Christian and Muslim leaders who went, didn't have the courage to tell the truth that the man, they didn't see the man. Yes. And in doing that, they failed the people of their country, they failed their congregation, and they failed their faith. And we confronted them in those days. And that is what we keep saying, that for this country to move forward, it has to be a consultation of faith. People must have faith in the country, they must have courage, there has to be re-establishment of values before this country can know prosperity, progress, and peace.
Absolutely. We're going back on the air right now. We're going to also be on air on facebook.com/Cool FM Nigeria, and we're live on the radio 96.9 Cool FM for those of you that think data is plenty. And what's your channel again?
This show, omoyele Sowore on Facebook, and that's where we'll be streaming live. I think we're streaming live right now, so we'll continue streaming live. And it's a pleasure to be on that This channel.
I see the way people turned up to come and watch you. And they're going to be asking your questions. So guys, get ready. I said questions are going to be welcome, and we're going to take this as far as he has the time.
Yes.
Let's go back to the studio. All right. So we're back in the studio, and one of the candidates for 2019. I believe you should be
we'll get
a candidate.
Yes.
I believe that. I don't want to see any. I'm sorry. I'm glad maybe for the fact that we're still on our platforms. I don't want to see any old person.
I'm done. Yes.
We're done.
Everybody's done.
Do you understand? Some of the leaders we have today were leaders when Macron was born.
There were leaders at 30 in Nigeria.
When Macron
let me tell you,
was a child.
I studied Agro-Ogbe, social studies, in 1979.
Thank you.
Primary school.
He's
I'm
still a
telling you,
minister.
he's still a minister of agriculture. Now.
Buhari
I
was
studied
president at
Jerry
34.
Ghana. I studied
Mamsa.
Mamsa. I want to remember who was the one that they said was Lord Lugard's PA. Lord Lugard that amalgamated Nigeria.
His PA.
Yes, we studied him. He was still in power as of 10 years ago. So we're done with that.
Everybody I studied in school that they said was a hero of me, I had to fight them when I got to the university. People they taught us in history. You know the joke in Nigeria now that the reason they don't teach us history is because our ancestors are still around.
Still around.
No, but yeah, but
It's true.
it is. How would you, if you taught history and taught the genocides of Buhari, how does he win an election? If you taught history and remind children about Saraki and his father's history in
And
Kwara
their bank.
State and the GTB issue, they would never win an election. The civic studies thing is hogwash. The exam has no basis in any exam we do in the country. It makes no sense.
In any country for that matter.
They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
Anyway,
They know what they're doing.
we're glad we've come to how far we've come to. Earlier on, we're speaking about religious leaders who sold out on their faith, on their congregations, and on their country. During the Yaradua saga, a lot of us were alive then. At least none of us is a baby. We all lived through it.
Yeah.
I remember a tweet that got me laughing. One of my very good friends, Wale, tweeted something the day they announced the late Yaradua had passed on. He said, Nigeria's dead president finally dies. And I thought that was a
Actually,
wow moment.
Yaradua had been dead, brain dead, 5 months before he was declared dead.
Yep.
Now, do you have conclusive evidence to show this?
Oh, absolutely. I had, at that time, I was reporting regularly on his state of health, and a doctor who was privy to the treatment, they had come to Boston to recruit a doctor to go to Saudi Arabia. They were looking for doctors all over the world who could perform miracles to bring him back to life. And this guy said he went there, and told them that this guy is dead. Yeah, he had cancer.
Pericarditis.
Yes, and he had other issues. And he was dead. He had been brain dead 5 months effectively before they declared him dead. What they were doing was that when they took the budget there, he wasn't the one who signed it. Yeah. When he did the interview on BBC, it wasn't the one. But BBC has completely now removed that interview from their system because they cannot defend it. The lady who did it, Jamila Tangaza, was eventually rewarded with a job in Abuja, and she was well rewarded. She worked out there, and later she was declared wanted because she was involved in a lot of fraud. I think she ran away from the country.
Wow.
That was how they were working the system in those days. And we were revealing as this everything. We were, in fact, the day he died, Shegun Adeniyi was asked to come and see him. And while he was waiting in the living room in Aso Rock, I called him. I said, Shegun, where are you? That was the spokesperson to the president. He said he's waiting to see his Oga. I said, which Oga? He said, President, yeah, I said, the man has died. He said, I know you do investigative journalism, but this one you are carrying it too far. Because I'm just waiting to go upstairs and see him. I said, he's dead. He called me back 5 minutes later. I said, it looks like what you said is true. He wrote it even in his book. Because I've just been driven away from the living room and things seem to have changed.
All right, 96.9 Cool FM. The interview still continues. Big shout out to Drake in My Feelings, 27 down, 5 o'clock, and we still have presidential aspirant Omoyele Sowore in the building, and he has been telling us all sorts of explosive stuff that are available on our social media networks, facebook.com/Cool FM Nigeria, and of course on YouTube, youtube.com/Daddy Freeze Teaches. Now, we're talking about the late President Yaradua on the platforms, and how you broke the news, and how Sahara TV went to make sure there was a balanced, there was a balance in the dissemination of information in Nigeria. Have you heard that you reminded people of Al Jazeera when they first started? You know, then the Western media will say 10 people died. Al Jazeera will come and say 100 people died and show you their bodies.
Yes, that's right.
So, yes, you're good at bringing information to the people. But I've been faced with this question too, because I'm a Bible teacher.
Yes.
I know the Bible. I can show what everybody else is doing is wrong. But a lot of people say, Daddy Freeze, that doesn't make it look like you can actually do it right.
Yeah.
So the question is on you now. The onus is upon you to tell us what guarantee you have that you can actually not just show what is wrong, but do what is right.
Yeah. I was telling you that if my experience and pedigree could work what you call insurance, I will be the person with the best insurance for good behavior and ability to deliver.
Let me ask you a question. Have they ever offered you a handsome bribe?
Of course.
I mean a handsome, those kind of bribes that you just think about it like, look, I've fought this activism long enough. Yeah. Should I just collect this money and retire?
So I'll give you an example. When Ribado was being bribed by James Ibori, I was also contacted to come to Ghana to come and pick up my own bribe.
Nice.
Yes, and they told me that, look, Ribado had accepted his own. Who are you? Come and get your own and just move on. Stop reporting about this James Ibori every day. James Ibori. And I told them that, nobody can buy my conscience. At that time, they had bought all the judges. They bought the media. They bought everybody, But I refused. And it was that consistency that led Ibori to run out of the country to Dubai, where the UK government picked him up. He spent 13 years. He was sentenced to 13 years in jail afterwards.
Now, of course, because this is a radio station and we're balanced, of course, Mr. Ibori should feel free to come here to give us his side of the story if he so feels. And
Ibori is now it's likely to become an APC chieftain very soon.
So, of course, our doors are open to everyone. Yeah. We try to make this as balanced as possible. Talking about balance, I read something about you recently. There was a certain GO who I don't want to mention who sued you to court for 10 billion naira. Yeah. And this particular GO, guys, you guys should not laugh because what's really
sorry, I didn't hear this.
You didn't hear this?
No.
What's really funny to me is this particular GO is notorious for telling his congregation to pray die by fire prayers for their enemies.
Yeah.
So what happened? Why didn't he just pray so you can die?
I hate to say it, but I don't think that righteous people can be killed just like that.
I'm sorry, but die by fire prayers are the highest form of adultery and fornication a human being can even practice. Let me just tell you, maybe Jesus is now your higher killer.
Maybe you call it idolatry, but listen, I have had to deal with a lot of GOs, and it's not because I hate the church. But I see sometimes they have excesses the same way government officials have. Like government. A GO also slapped a young girl in church.
Yeah, we saw that video. We all saw it.
And nobody would touch the video. I put it out. And my conviction at that time was that, how dare you slap this young girl, accusing her of being a witch.
Yeah.
But you won't do that in an American church. You have an American branch of your church. If you did it there, you are not getting out of that place on your own terms. You have to live in handcuffs. Yeah. So you know where to, but you won't even do it to your children. And based on the reporting and the way we dragged it on, of course, they came on our page that will die in a matter of days and things like that. But that got a lawyer sufficiently angry enough and emboldened enough to sue.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, they sued him in court. And eventually, initially they didn't want to go to court. But when they saw that the public was outraged, they went to court, and I heard that they resettled the young lady. They gave her a position in the church and made her disappear into the hierarchy of the church.
The witch?
Yes, this witch now was
rehabilitated into the church,
so that she would not present herself. She would not present herself as a witness in the case. And for me, it's a restoration of the dignity of even members of churches, that they are not subject to abuse in their place of worship, because they have a right to worship freely and not be abused by religious leaders. I'm not, I read the Bible twice too. So probably I know the Bible a little bit more than you do. And I came to a number of conclusions. But this race is not about my conclusion about religion or churches. It's about my conviction in humanity. Yeah. That's why I'm here. And that's the issue we should be discussing. That this should be about Christians, Muslims, animals, anybody.
African tradition.
No matter what you believe in, even if you believe in a pen, the state has the right to protect you.
Wonderful. Talking about marginalization, talking about beliefs, talking about abuse, there is no way women will not come up. And we also spoke of a woman who was slapped by a GO. And now, in government, Nigerian women feel incredibly marginalized.
Yes.
I want to put it to you. How much, what's the percentage of your cabinet are you going to assign to women? Is it going to be 50-50? Some countries right now have a 50-50 man, woman, just to go across the genders. And what are your policy plans to better the lives of Nigerian women? Because whether you like it or not, in this part of the world, women are still being abused in marriage, in religion, by tradition and culture, government included.
To start with the percentages, I will start with 50-50. I've been saying I would want a 50-50 leadership in the government, where women and men will have equal position in the cabinet when we come in next year. But let me also say that women need to come out of hiding. Yes. The reason is that if you look at the population of this country, there are more women than men. To the extent that if all the women in Nigeria decide that they want to vote for a female president, the person will win the election in a landslide. There's no INEC that can tamper with the results. Yeah. But there's still a lot of unwillingness by women to free themselves, because our culture, our tradition, religion is we're hiding them in every corner we can find, and then we are shaming them when they want to liberate themselves by calling them all kinds of names. They're feminists, she's this, she's that. And until women realize that they have power and start to exercise that power, such that we don't even discuss them in percentages, we discuss them in terms of respect of their power, political power and influence, then nobody will even be talking on radio that I want to give 50%, because now the president will be a female, because they have a larger number, and he will be deciding what percentages of to give to men. And that's what I think they need to quickly realize, that you have your PVC, go out and vote for the candidate of your choice, and whomever you vote for in large numbers, unite, and I hope they vote for me in this next election, because I'm the one who is giving Philip to that desire to include women, right? And in the government completely without looking back. Because women deserve a lot more than they're getting. But it's not about deserving it. It's their fundamental human rights.
That's right. That's
to
right.
be involved in government as much as, or as many as we have men, there should be women.
Now, you were controversial a few weeks ago on a subject you spoke about. And until you spoke about that subject, many people, including me, didn't realize the power in that particular sector. You said you'd like to legalize cannabis or marijuana and make it an export through which Nigeria can gain foreign exchange and build our depleting foreign reserves. A lot of people were skeptical, and I see it as a consequence of the damage social and religious spheres have done to marijuana. Abroad right now on the New York Stock Exchange, you can actually buy and sell marijuana stock. It's used to treat glaucoma, it's used to treat different types of cancer. So what made you think
It
of
just got
something?
legalized in South Africa.
Yes, yes.
It was we see one of the reasons I decided to run for office is not only to promise roads and hospitals alone, but schools. Is to also elevate conversation.
Mind. Yeah.
And put our mind to where others are at, because there's a word out there that is swirling around us, and we're not participating in engagement and conversation that is leading other nations to progress and prosperity. And that was why I brought that issue up. It was actually a remark I made when people were talking about traditional medicine. And they were all talking about how do you regulate the traditional medicine. I said the biggest traditional medicine is weed, marijuana, cannabis. Right there in Ekiti, there's a forest from Ondo State all the way to Ekiti, where they grow weed in large numbers. And do you know how much we make from weed? We could be making 1.5 trillion naira. Do you know what they do to it? Every year, these guys just come together at the NDLA. They seize bags and bags of weed and burn it. 1.5 trillion naira is what they destroy. And as if the whole world was listening to me after that became public, Coca-Cola came out and said they have a $4 billion deal with Aurora, a weed growing company, to infuse weed into some of their drinks so that it will calm people down. It will help them deal with anxiety and all those things that we normally deal with, including nausea.
The future of Coke.
Ghana came out and said they want to be exporting weed. South Africa legalized weed that same week. The stock jumped
on the NYSC.
Yes, just because people are talking about. You see, over the years, weed, not only cannabis, but the tree itself, hemp, has so many uses. Apart from being used for medicine,
it's used for hair cream.
It's stronger than cotton. Yes, they use them in making t-shirts. Hemp. You can do research. Google is your friend these days. And I'm saying, before other people get into the game and close the door on us, let us start thinking progressively and ahead. Because what people are hearing about weed that scares them, which you have mentioned, is the THC component, which makes people high. But it's not everybody that gets high on weed. But guess what? Cigarette that is more destructive and damaging. We have a tobacco company here in Ibadan, I think somewhere. Alcohol that destroys more than anything else. We have alcohol flowing into Nigeria.
Sugar is the greatest killer.
So,
starch.
But nobody's regulating those things. If you drink champagne, London gin, everybody is happy around you. And these things are imported. There was even a time it was alleged that Nigeria imports champagne the most of all the countries in Africa. It turned out not to be true. But we do bring in a lot of these things. And do you know the worst thing that can happen to us is when Coca-Cola start infusing weed into their drinks and they start selling it to us. And we are forced to buy it. But then when we want to export our weed, they tell us that our own type of weed is not good for producing Coca-Cola.
Because we're not part of the dream.
We're not part of people who have been drinking progressively and getting in the game. So instead of, what is our budget? 8 trillion naira. That's our budget. You are burning 1.5 trillion naira worth of weed
every year.
That could have provided job, revenue, make people...
We even have enough cancer issues to use it for ourselves.
Yes, glaucoma.
And they found out that our brand of weed, cannabis, is the best. But let me shock you, finally, on this weed story. Is the fact that, as a Nigerian, we have a gene in our body that is called the cannabis gene. So,
and this is
real.
I can Google this.
It's called the feel-good gene. And the alias name for the gene is cannabis gene. There's a reason why Nigerians are happy people. Even when, no matter how we suffer, we're happy. Because there's a gene in our body that makes us feel good even in the worst circumstances in life. So if it's already part of your DNA, why worry? That's on the lighter side. But when people need to sleep, it happened before during the colonial era. Our people were brewing ogogoro, and the colonials discovered that their London gin wasn't as good as our ogogoro. And they banned it and wrote it into the law as illicit gin. It's still in our laws today that if you are caught with ogogoro, you're supposed to go to jail. But it was because the guys who brought London dry gin discovered that our own was better. They just criminalized it, demonized it, and started doing business with us. And our policemen were chasing after our people making ogogoro.
No, but you know, that happens in every sphere.
But that's what is about to happen to weed. Because that's about to happen to cannabis. Because America will patent their own weed, and they will make Coca-Cola purchase only their own. While you are here running after and chasing after your own people who have seen into the future. It's just about, it's in the context of diversification of the economy as well. And within the time I started this, the story started as condemnation. Now everybody's like, wow. There's knowledge here. There's something about what this guy is saying. So
because you spoke about it a week later,
everybody
it was on.
You need to
South Africa legalized it.
These are our biggest competitors. I mean, if 180 million people wake up and see the light on a product, you better hurry up and cash out before they come in. And you know how Nigerians are. If this becomes legalized, if it's currently a $60 billion market, it will be a $3 trillion market.
It's a matter of time. Because look at the stocks jumping up and down. I mean, not down, up. And it's been the only stock that was doing well that same week, better than even the tech stocks. Yes.
Okay, Sowore, let me ask you a question. And this is going to put you in the hot seat. One of the biggest ways to embarrass the Nigerian government is terrorism currently. Boko Haram. You could be doing a great job. Boko Haram kidnaps a school of 50 girls and, before you know it, the American First Lady is holding a placard and that's it. Now, I had a very simple question. You're in power. You've won the election. Boko Haram kidnaps a school of 100 girls under your administration. And then they demand a ransom. Now, this ransom has become a do your damn, don't your damn, because you give them the ransom, they buy more equipment, they get stronger. You don't do the ransom with them, they do their usual vicious evil, you get a bad name. So, if Boko Haram does this under your administration, currently there's still the Leah Sheribu girl who was, if they do this, how do you plan to handle terrorism, our new reality in Nigeria? How do you plan to do it differently from everyone else?
I've covered 2 major abductions under 2 different presidents, right?
Yes.
And the things that were responsible for those abductions, one was negligence. When the girls were kidnapped in Chibok, it took the president of Nigeria almost 48 hours to convince himself that the abduction was real. By that time, Boko Haram had gone and scattered the girls. In fact, they said it took 2 days for Boko Haram militants to finally find a place to locate them. Americans, the UK, everybody wanted to help track them down and make sure that the thing was nipped in the bud. Jonathan won't do anything about it because he believed, at that time, according to them, they had a conspiracy theory that it was the APC that organized the abductions. Under the Buhari regime, it was the same thing. Boko Haram had gotten used to collecting ransom.
Yes.
And they came and abducted the girls, took the girls away, they were paid ransom. They came and dropped the girls in Dapchi, even had a rally, dropped them up and left. In other countries, you have to use carrot and stick. If I'm president of Nigeria, even if I pay that ransom, the Boko Haram commanders that came to drop the girls will not make it back alive. That's the way it is done in other countries. You can, because I used to talk to a lot of these government officials, and they told me when they were paying the ransom for Chibok girls, Boko Haram negotiators wanted to give all the girls back to Nigeria. The people negotiating on the Nigerian side say, how can you give all the girls at once? We are making money off of this thing.
Wow.
Just keep them small. We reported this on Sahara Reporters and nobody ever refuted it. Because you know who was driving the negotiation of that abduction? It was Daura, the DSS guy who was fired when Buhari traveled this last time.
Yeah.
He was making a killing out of the abduction, So Boko Haram was encouraged. In fact,
Of course.
it was the way they were conducting themselves that emboldened Boko Haram to go to Dapchi to kidnap. I said something yesterday and I'll repeat it here. Nigerian security top officials, they are overdue for a cleanup. They are making a killing out of this. They are the ones prolonging
security
the war.
votes and
They don't want the war to end because the money is there in Yafuya. You know when Buhari came, They found dollars inside soakaways, under cooking pots, you know, in
cupboards and
cupboards, and they had it in water coolers and GP tanks, water tanks, in homes of, you know, former military generals. People were asked to go and buy tanks, you know, armored personnel carrier, you know, went and bought them from Ukraine, where nobody was buying, and put army officials, you know, mid-level officials in there that got killed when Boko Haram started shooting at them. There's nowhere in the world that you fight terrorism with Hilux vans. Nowhere in the world that you expose your, you know, officer corps to that kind of level of insurgency, like in Hilux vans. You know, you are not driving in the city. So the moment you see the strategy being used by them, you know that they are not interested in fighting this one. That's why a serious commander-in-chief has to be a new sheriff in town. Yes.
Reads everybody the riot act.
Yes.
Makes sense.
There was something you said. You spoke about ransoms, and ransoms are always money. And that brought my mind racing to the fact that politics in Nigeria is always about money. Everything is about money. We have a problem, we throw money at it. Tell us how you think we can overcome the challenge. Money politics, the Ekiti, the Ondo, Akure,
the unnecessary respect for money in this country is everywhere. You have a bad child, you throw money at it.
You know, so how do you intend to restructure Nigeria with regards to the money politics?
We have started doing it. We came into this game 7 months ago. And at that time, the only currency within our political space was cash, money. And now we have shifted the mental state of our people to start considering ideas as a new currency. And that is why you see that when we speak, people listen.
Yes.
Just as I'm here speaking, they are listening. You know, they're upset at me. You know, they're waiting at the airport. They have me on their watch list. It's too late. I don't give a whatever.
You shouldn't.
Yes, because for us, we have reached that turning point. We are not going back to their Egypt anymore. We have reached the promised land. I mean, we're heading to the promised land now. And the way to do it is also conscientization. We have been doing something on our website, that's Sowore2019.org, and also aacparty.org and .com, whichever way you want to reach it. You can actually compare on our platform how much senators are earning with your salary.
Wow.
There's a calculator there.
Wow.
You know, you can calculate on Sowore2019.org. Go there and say, this is how much I'm earning. And you compare it with what the Nigerian senator is earning. You discover that even when you are earning 200,000 naira per month, it will take you some 13 years, some cases 10 years, to earn what a senator is earning in a month. So those kind of consciousness, because you have to put big data behind so many of these things we are talking about, is making people to reconsider, you know, the role of money in their lives. We tell people in Ekiti, for example, that why don't you divide 5,000 naira by 4 years? And what is it that you got? Because somebody who gave you 5,000 naira on a Saturday during the election is not going to see you in the next 4 years. So is it worth it to sell your vote, to sell your future into oblivion by accepting 5,000 naira from a politician, and then after a week the 5,000 naira is gone because he can't even deal with any of your problems? Why not you look for a politician who can build roads, who can build schools, who can build you hospitals, politicians that can represent you, that will be there for you when they need you, someone who can breathe life into your aspirations and your future, and then you see the difference. Because the difference is jobs. The difference is an elevation of your social status. Because the moment you graduate from secondary school, you become a different person. When you succeed in graduating from a university, you become a better person. When you have your master's degree, you know. But most importantly, that will also be backed with jobs. It will be backed with electricity. It will be backed with
quality
good
of
roads.
life.
So quality of life will just jump from, you know, the 5,000 naira handout you used to collect to a life that can take you on vacation when you want it, that can make you see the world, that can make people respect you, that can make you drive the car that you want, even when you can't afford the car price at once, and that can make you build a house that you want, that can make you live in a society that is safe. You know, and sometimes I can even make you decide who you worship and who you don't want to worship.
Makes sense.
Or where you worship,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
which times, you know, you are forced to do things that otherwise you wouldn't be doing. Those are the, you know, essential things that we have brought into the game. And that's why you see that the moment we push an idea out there, they are stealing it.
Yeah, I noticed.
Yes, and converting it to the. I won't be surprised now if APC start talking about exporting cannabis, because when we pronounced on June 12th, they went and looked for Abiola's family. Oh yeah, let's change democracy date so before these crazy guys come and, you know, steal the idea from the thunder from us. You know, when we talked about minimum wage, they are now forced to deal with minimum wage.
I noticed
labor leaders are now going on strike to enforce minimum wage.
I noticed something, Mr. Sowore, and you just brought it up, and it was part of the questions we had planned to ask you today. I found out you're bringing up a lot of 21st century ideals, and then in this your tour, you've broken them down. And I always hear either the government or the public or somebody use your idea less than a few days later.
Yes.
The cannabis thing was, all of a sudden, it was everywhere.
Yes.
I have noticed they paid a certain amount of money to NASU. They just cleared off the debts of Nigerian Airways staff after 15 years.
They actually completed the construction of Kano-Kaduna Road after I went to criticize them in Kano.
Yeah, so I've noticed this. Now I want to ask an important question. The election is done. Unluckily, you didn't win. Let's say the current administration wins, and they say, look, Mr. Sowore, you had an amazing campaign. You raised a lot of fundamental issues. Come and work with us. It happens sometimes. It happens
very often.
I mean, Hillary Clinton did work with Barack Obama, even though he had trashed her in an election prior. If they call you, say, okay, Minister, give you a triplicate appointment, youths, sports, and rural infrastructure, or whatever, would you take it?
It's like asking if light can emerge from darkness. Where would they get? Who can you work with among these guys? None. The kind of ideas. If I wanted a job with government, I would have been getting jobs. I would have been an AGIP, what they call any government in power. True. Because we were sufficiently difficult to the extent that under the military, they would have given us any jobs we wanted just to keep us quiet. Even under these democratic, dispensations, if I wanted a job under, say, Yaradua, he would give me a job just to keep me quiet over his illness. If I wanted under Jonathan, who is my kin, because I'm a Joe Apoil from Ondo State. So most people don't know that I'm closer to Jonathan than I could be closer to anybody else who's been in government. Oronto Douglas late was the first person to take me out of Nigeria to a conference in Belgium, and he was his closest right-hand man. And he came to me and said, when I broke the story of Yaradua, I said to the point that he became president, he sent Oronto and the man he borrowed to me and said, pack your things, come to Nigeria. You have done wonders. There's nothing else to do. There's no story that could have been better than this. I said, I don't want public position. I don't want to be serving in any regime. I want a country that's working. And the moment I discovered that they don't have the intellectual and physical and even mental capacity to run a country, I go after them. This particular regime, this babacracy that we are run by President Buhari, has no capability to accommodate even 1% of the ideas I have. As I tell people, when they accuse me of smoking cannabis, I don't smoke. But I'm high on ideas. That is why people can relate with what I'm saying. And you can't find accommodation of those kind of ideas within a regime that the president may not even know where he is as we speak. The man is sick. What we know from his regime is that it's just a cannon folder, and the cabal is just hiding behind him to do whatever they want to do because they are not responsible for anything. Look at what happened today. The wife went and reported her ADC to the police for arrest because she found out that he had cheated her out of 2.5 billion naira. What is she selling? And that's supposed to be the wife of Mr. Integrity.
That has no office.
You understand?
There's no office for the first
But your ADC can be collecting on your behalf, monies that if they are keeping inside the room, it will be falling out of the window. And you just found out.
If they are keeping in a compound, we're falling over the fence.
You understand? So this is a kind, and if this thing didn't come, if this thing had come from Sahara reporters before now, most people would have said, "Maybe is this unbelievable? You made it up." But these are the kind of stories that we have fed people with over the years. The kind of carnal activity that's happening within governance and the dark recesses of power, which is the reason why we cannot go for anything less than the real price. Because what needs to happen is not a compensation for me as a presidential candidate who may or may not have won the election, is in a role or a future for the people of Nigeria. And for me, the election is not going to be the end of the contest.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll continue with the remaining leg of the interview, which is just another 5 more minutes. And I think we need to take questions.
Yes.
We're going to go on a break. And when we come back, we're going to take questions. Real quick, in a few seconds, this elections, the Osun elections that were considered inconclusive. What's your take on that?
It's a scam. Honestly, I hate to say this, but the PDP won the election. But the APC and the PDP, this is what PDP would have done when they were in power. In fact, PDP would have declared that they won when they were in power. But APC declaring this election inconclusive is just robbing the PDP guys of their victory. But you know what is sad about it? That you can't find between APC and PDP any candidate that people of Osun could vote for. Is between a dancer and an unknown masquerade. It also saddens me that our quality of choice has been reduced to nothing.
For a state in 180 billion naira debt.
Yes.
I don't get what the fight is all about.
Someone said in Nigeria we celebrate mediocrity. Do you agree with that statement?
Absolutely. This is the headquarters of mediocres. I mean, mediocre people.
All right, a quick break and we'll be back because we need to open up the phone lines. I would have loved to call it quit, but people are biting me here. Like we have to ask him a few questions. Put some credit on your phones. The numbers to call are 2710969, 2711969, 2712969, and 27113.
Your question should be in 2 sentences,
please.
Not
you can also tweet at
please.
Cool FM Nigeria or drop a comment on my Instagram handle at Daddy Freeze. Okay, so we're gonna take 15 minutes of question and answer when we come back. Please stick around. It's 96.9 Cool FM, one of the most beautiful and open interviews we've had for a long time. Presidential aspirant Omoyele Sowore has been with us. How do you pronounce Sowore?
Sowore.
Sowore. What does it mean?
Is in Yoruba it will be Sowore, meaning
show turn business
into friendship.
Into friendship.
Your business partner, so you become a friend. It's actually named after a stream in the Jebu area of the Ogun State. So I saw them on Facebook recently celebrating the stream, Sowore Day or something like that. So I hope to be there one day to swim.
Do you swim?
Yes.
You're very athletic.
That's right.
I see you work out a lot. You don't have a tummy like mine.
I do now because I've been eating too much pounded yam.
Pounded yam. All right. It is 96.9 Cool FM. We're about to open up the elections. I don't want to ask any more questions.
Is this elections or...
Sorry, we're open up the phone lines. Please, guys, I want you to ask the questions. I don't want to ask any more questions, but make your questions. You see, some people don't know how to ask. They'll ask one question, I'll lead to another question, I'll lead to another question, and before you know it, we don't want to do this for more than 10 minutes. So please, the numbers to call on the radio where you could hear his voice and speak to him directly are 2710969, 2711969, 2712969, and 2713969. We've got a call right here. Hello. Yes. Go ahead. Yes, it is.
I'm calling from Germany.
Wow. All the way from Germany.
Yeah, my name is Samuel Agobia.
All right, Samuel, go ahead with your question. We don't have too much time.
Yeah, my question goes like this: that what is this plan towards our licensing for electricity in Nigeria?
Yes, I have said it, and this will be one of the times I'll say it again that we have to grow rapidly from 7,000 megawatts to 24,000 megawatts of electricity. And one of the things to do is to add renewables to it. So we want to grow about 4,500 gigawatts of electricity through solar energy alone. And that can be done within a year or two, going by what we know, because Morocco is growing electricity and selling to France, selling to Mata through solar. And we are here still struggling to even transmit the 7,000 megawatts. They claim that we have. We don't even know, because the infrastructures are dilapidated. I mean, infrastructure for electricity is dilapidated. We don't have transmission lines added for a long time. This can be done, and the way to also do it is to break it down to break down, the national grid into mini grids, so that people can have electricity in smaller places. You do it the right way. We'll have regional electricity companies who can be selling electricity, transmitting, generating, and everybody will be happy within a short time. It has to do with the regulation as well, or deregulation of the electricity sector. But it needs leadership, it needs innovation, it needs fresh ideas, and that's what we're going to do very quickly. But if you want to find out more, you can go on our website, Sowore2019.org. We have broken it down how this will be done and how we plan to pay for it.
All right, take more questions. The way the lines are ringing today is scary. The next one. Yes. Hello? Yes, good evening.
I'd like to know what his plans are in terms of military, having to do with the Air Force, the Army, and also the Navy. If he becomes president, I feel that those guys might not be comfortable him being there. And what is actually his plan to ensure that he actually has control over the armed forces?
Yeah, I said it before, and I'll repeat it here today. I'm not after anybody. I want an effective, strong, and solid military for the country. And it means that people who are not efficient, people who are not doing their work, have to leave way for people who have been trained over these years and who know what to do. We have in the Nigerian Army only 5,000 officers that are running an army of about 300,000 members. Because the big generals are there in Abuja, they don't even know what's going on the field, and they don't want to promote people, because the moment they promote the younger ones, they'll be eased out of the way, because the younger ones are actually more technologically inclined, they're savvy, but they don't let them control things. Instead, they put them in rickety cars, or fake, armored personnel carriers, and these guys get killed. We are losing more soldiers, we are losing more forces, security forces to terrorists, kidnappers, and general criminals now than we have ever done before, because of the kind of poor equipment that are given to them. So I'm not going to lie to anybody that when I come in there will be a shake-up in the military, but I'm not the first one who's going to come in and shake up the military, but I'm just going to shake it up in a way that it will become effective and efficient. Obasanjo did it. Even when Buhari came, he fired and even took to court a number of military generals who were involved in corruption, but then they're protecting their own, because you remember when they brought out the report in the army, in the Navy, they acted upon it. When they brought the one in the Air Force, they acted. When it reached the Army, because a lot of their guys were involved, Buratai, for example, and even Dambazo were involved, they killed that report. Today, you can never see that report. That's how Buhari operates, and we will not operate like that.
All right, a few more questions. I think we're going to take just one more. Yes, hello? All right, Sahid, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I met a gentleman, I think, at the airport in Accra on the 14th of last month, if you remember, with the Daily Trust man.
Oh, wow. How are you?
Good day, sir.
Thank you so much. Yeah, nice talking to you.
I must confess, I'm very, very impressed. But my question is this. I don't know why this politicians, this leaders, don't even have conscience at all. If you go through, I'm worried about the road now.
Yes.
From Badagry to Maltu.
Yes.
They claim this is international road and this is other countries. It's a shame. You can't go through this road for 6 hours.
I traveled the road last month, so I know what you're talking about. They say, look, our leaders are committing crime against humanity at every level. Infrastructure, security, power, education, health is a crime. This country is crime scene when it comes to leadership. And we have to end it. And that's what I'm promising all of you who are watching, those of you who are listening to me, that you don't have to be like this. You don't have to continue to accept mediocres as your leader or people who want to drag Nigeria with them to their grave. There's nothing wrong with being old, but there are a lot of irresponsible old people. When you can no longer function as a leader in a country, you let go of power. But in this case, they don't want to let go of power because power is the only way they breathe. Power in this country is the social security department of the lazy leaders. When I was talking about mediocre people, I wanted to correct it. I'm talking about mediocre leaders. People are actually not mediocre people, but the leaders, very mediocre. They don't have ideas. They don't know what to do. They are only there repeating the same old mistakes that put Nigeria in the condition that it is today. And we cannot continue to make do with recycling of these leaders. Get rid of them next year with your PVC. This me that's talking to you. I'm a citizen of Nigeria and I've been around for 30 years now that I've been doing this. And I said to myself, I'm tired of this. And I decided I'm coming back home. I stayed in America for 19 years. I never one day applied to be an American citizen because I love the burden of being a Nigerian. So that one day I'll be reminded of the need to go and save my country. What is America for us and those of us who are in Europe, and Asia and in Australia? It's indentured servitude. If you don't think about it, you walked into slavery. No matter how great it looks, it cannot be like your country. And what is driving our campaign today are those Nigerians who have acquired knowledge, skills, exposure, education, who want to come back home, but they have no country to come back to because there's not even an airport in Nigeria that you can call an airport. Ghana just opened an airport recently. Everybody is going there taking selfies and putting it on Instagram. And I'm saying to myself, why are people not outraged enough to say, well, if Ghana can do it, we can do it.
Why can't we?
Yes. And what we need is organic outrage. And that's what this is about. It's not just about an election. It's a consciousness that can make us become so outraged that we say, never again shall we continue to be led by this crop of people.
Wow, it's been an explosive hour or so. But I must say, I really appreciate this. I want to see young people. I want to see us. I want to see us have a future. And it's a wonderful opportunity to have someone who also shares that drive and that passion. Now, for anyone who feels that they have something to say about this from all the sectors he mentioned, please be rest assured that our doors are open in Cool FM. You want to come and say what you want to say, come along with your facts. Yes, it's open. I'm going to be doing this for the next 1 year, running down all the way through the elections. So I want to keep my doors open to heads of parastatals, aspirants, but you have to come and be open like he was.
Yes.
We need people who are open. We don't need people to hide anything from us. Let's discuss. God bless you all. Do have yourselves a very, very lovely day. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for calling us on The Road Show. All right, let's round off for... I know you're tired. Everybody, that's omoyele Sowore.
Thank you so much for watching and listening to
On the radio, I have to be a bit more balanced, but this is my own radio.
Maybe a little bit more nuanced.
But this is my own radio. I can say whatever it is. There's
no
yeah. Please, me personally, do I like the way Nigeria is run now? No. Do I want any old people to come back again? No.
Never.
My anger, I'm a Bible teacher. I see the abuse that is being perpetrated with the word of God that I understand. I have a deep understanding of. And I see the absolute abuse. And our leaders are doing nothing but actually conniving with the leaders of the church to enslave the people further. And anything and anyone. That is, I'm sorry, but that's why I don't like Fela Durotoye. He's a great guy. He's a nice guy. I know you want to work with him, but you see, I don't like someone that cannot say it is red.
When it
is red. I want you to be able to say it because I'm that kind of person.
Yes, and that's the way it should be.
Do you understand? So when you come and you sit on the side fence and listen, I don't want a younger version of what we have now.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, the fence fell a long time ago.
The table has broken.
Yes.
We have shaken the table till the fact that it had no legs now broke.
Yes.
Please, your vote is your power. I'm not saying vote Sowore. I'm saying vote your conscience.
All right, here.
Ask questions. I sat down today. I hardly, you know me, I talk. I sat down, I listened, and I learned. It's been a long time since I sat down with someone who is looking for political power that educates me. At the end of the day, I end up educating them. Because they come and they talk plenty. You know, at the end of the day, it's the agenda that they are pushing. I can see beyond any agenda. I can see a lot of truth. I can see a lot of love for this country. Me that I'm talking, I have Romanian citizenship. I will have done anything to get American citizenship. Anything in the world. Only for me to realize that there's someone who could have gotten it but didn't because he wants to continue sharing in the cross we are all carrying. You guys made me do this. You are always shouting, Sowore. I want Sowore. I want Sowore.
Yes.
He is here now.
Yes.
You know
I'll
what
be
to
back.
do. He's coming. You know this one is. We have not even. This is just. We just gisted.
Yes. Because this is also to serve a notice to those who might come with, sub facts. That I'll be back with bigger facts.
Bigger facts.
So, but the most important thing is it's very important for our people, and I really appreciate this. I'm continuing to see a trend. I'm continuing to see a trend, even on social media, of pivoting away from the ignorance that has been dominating our discourse. People are asking questions. I saw that with you too when you started. It's like what Atos Chopin said about the truth. He said truth goes through 3 stages. First, it must be ridiculed. Second, it must be violently opposed. And on the third leg, it will become self-evident. That's the power of truth.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I run a democracy. You wanted him? Here he is.
Yes. Here he is.
And he's going to come back.
And I'll see you guys tomorrow in New York. Actually, I'm going to New York for a fundraiser in New York, and I'm in Indianapolis and New York, and I'll be back in Nigeria soon again. And we just have to take our country back. Take it back. By the way, you were talking about these ideas percolating to the top.
Yes.
Obama was campaigning on Take It Back in California the other day. We brought Take It Back. We didn't start it. I won't lie to you. But it was here that it has been for a while. And now in California, about 8 candidates are campaigning on the basis of Take It Back. They want to take America back too.
Yeah, so look at your people. They want you to come to Oslo.
Oslo, yes. I don't know if we're going to Oslo, but just tell them if they plan it, we'll come. We have stamina, plenty of energy.
Plenty of energy. Pounded Yam is not slowing them down.
So.
All right, guys. The full video is available on YouTube, youtube.com/Daddy Freeze Teaches. They've got to run.
I gotta take picture of Daddy Freeze.
Yes, so.
Sure.
Oh yeah, stop it.